You more or less are a pioneer, if you will. You've opened a lot of doors for women in this business of film and television. Do you believe that currently there is still a lot to be done to have that sense of diversity in filmmaking and television production, or is it now just a time to sit back for a bit and observe what's going on and let the mark be made?
Well, I mean, I certainly think that there have been some great strides in the sort of role that women play. Mm-hmm. I mean, certainly here in television, the BBC has 3 controllers who are all women. Mm-hmm. I mean, the controller of BBC One is a woman, the controller of BBC Two is a woman, and the overall controller of those channels underneath the Director General is a woman. Mm. So from that point of view, there are 3 women in very, very powerful positions here. I think there's always a bit to be done. There's always more to be done. And I don't know what. I think probably still in film, as opposed to television, women, although there are very successful women producers and women directors, and women in almost every area, that it's still a fairly male-dominated industry.
Hmm. So, in essence, still a lot of work to be done.
Some, yes.
You've been responsible for producing what I would consider the best of British television: Jonathan Creek, Danger UXB, Rumple of the Bailey, Doctor Who, all of them great original programs, and I stress the word original because of the fact that reality TV still dominates the landscape currently. I would like to think probably because it's just A, cheap to produce, and B, the participants are willing to do high drama at the drop of a hat. In your opinion, would you think that reality TV's days are numbered, or does it still have a bit of a ways to go before we finally get tired of it?
Well, people don't seem to be getting tired of it, do they? So I think it's probably there to stay for a bit. And as you say, it's cheap to make. And there's still plenty of people. Well, I suppose, to go and be famous for 15 minutes. Here when the people who appear on reality TV, sometimes get their own shows. So you get people who really are very fortunate to be noticed at all, sort of suddenly commanding a position for at least for a while, if not for very long.
That's right. We here in the States, we tend to have some who make it a point to parlay their appearance in certain programs into other facets of the entertainment industry. But yes, you're right about that, man, because I think recently, one of the Big Brother winners now has his own chat show. Am I correct about that?
Probably, yes. Okay. Since I don't watch either, I can't tell you. Sorry, I can't watch those shows.
I know the feeling. For me, reality TV is a program called The News.
Well, I do watch, yes.
Indeed. How would you compare U.S. filmmaking, American filmmaking, to British filmmaking? Are the Americans lacking in quality in telling the story by just putting in attractive actors and great special effects and no storytelling?
No. I mean, I think Americans have always made great movies. I mean, movie making, it's the center. Los Angeles is the center of movie making, and there are some fine movies made, and there always will be. I mean, of course, there are those big commercial blockbusters which. But if you look at the independent films that have come out of America, there's some wonderful films. I mean, you can't knock America for filmmaking. It's great. I'm not saying that everything that comes out is fantastic, but really, it's people know how to make movies in America.
Well, I will say this: people know how to make movies in the UK. Primarily because of the Merchant Ivory films that have come out, primarily because of the productions that you've been involved in as well, through Cinema Verity, and also through the films that Kenneth Branagh has produced. So,
no, I'm not saying that we don't know how to make films in UK, or that we don't make good. The Europeans, I mean, the French make wonderful films, and the Italians as well,
of course,
and the Germans, and the Russians. So, I mean, everybody has a filmmaking industry, and some very, very good films come out of it. But the American film industry is huge, and it does span from the very, very good to the very, very bad. Yes. But it's there.
Yeah. Well, I can understand where you're coming from in that respect. Is there any other TV, film work that you've done that compares with your devotion to Doctor Who back when this started about some 40 years ago?
Well, I had something to do with a film called The Naked Civil Servant, for which I'm very, very proud, which is about Quentin Crisp.
That's right.
And I did a series with Sam Neill called Riley Ace of Spies. And I don't know, it's very hard to pick things out because, you know, I really have, I think, I really feel quite strongly about everything I make, and otherwise I wouldn't want to do it. I have to have some kind of commitment. And of course I love Jonathan Creek. I think the scripts are wonderful, written by David Rennick, who's just the most superb writer. There's just so many.
Jonathan Creek is a magnificent show. We get it here in the States through our public broadcast stations, and also I think on BBC America. The last time I checked with its being scheduled, but I also know that Alan Davies, one of the stars of that program, is being highly rumored right now, according to the bookmakers, for being the next Doctor Who.
Yeah, so I understand he's sort of 8-1. Is he an 8-1? Is he 8-1?
Yeah, I believe he's 8-1. Yes. So that's more or less within a strong range. And
yes.
And when we had scheduled this interview, we had no knowledge whatsoever of about the big news that came about. Although we knew that Lorraine Hegasey, the controller of BBC One, had been dropping hints saying, "Oh, well, yes, I enjoyed the program. Yes, I'd like to bring BBC One back to Saturday Night Dominance, where the show was a cornerstone. Yes, I enjoyed watching the program when I was a child." But there was no formal announcement because of the rights issues until September 26, when all this had happened, and obviously this must have come as a rather piece of delightful news to you because of something that you started off as a pioneer, as the first female producer, the first producer of the television series Doctor Who. It's very heartwarming and yet humbling, perhaps, to know that something that you started about 4 decades ago is still going to continue.
Well, I think it's wonderful. Yeah. I'm really thrilled, and I think I don't know how much. I don't know how much is rumor and how much is true, but I heard that there's a writer called Russell T. Davies, who I think is a very, very good writer, and I know is a fan of Doctor Who, is supposed to be writing, is supposed to be writing it. I don't know whether that's true or not, but if that's so, that would be great, because he's very good.
Yes, ma'am. Any advice from one producer to another to give to Russell T. Davies before he takes on this monumental task?
Well, I think that I always felt that you had to play it for real. That there was, that camping it up just wasn't right. And I think that's the advice. It just has to be believable. And it's interesting because I did some commentary recently for some DVDs that are coming out. Well, I think the Aztecs is already out, and the Invasion of the Daleks it came out here in October. And these are programs that I made, and I hadn't seen them for many, many years, as you can imagine. Yeah. And the thing that struck me, there were things that obviously we had a very low budget, and there were things that were obvious to me that if only one had a bit more money, we could have made them better. But the one thing that did strike me was that it wasn't talking down; that it was quite intelligent, and the people, and the actors were playing it in a very believable way. And I think that was one of the reasons why it became successful, actually.
I think probably because of the fact that it didn't talk down to the viewer, and the fact that it was such a cross-generational audience, for lack of a better phrase. Anybody from the age of 5 to 95 can sit down and watch this show and not feel insulted. Yes, I think so. Well, it was fun, really, and it was quite exciting in bits, and I can only speak for the programs that I made, but I think that we always try to make it as believable as possible, and the actors always try to play the truth, and not sort of stand outside and think it was very funny or anything. No.